This is the story of how 226 Dutch monumental church bells were saved from the Nazi occupation. So during the Second World War, the Netherlands was occupied by the Germans, and they had their eyes on our Dutch church bells because they wanted to melt them so the material could be used in the German war industry. Thousands of beautiful Dutch church bells disappeared during the war, which was obviously a big loss. Some bells that had the biggest historical value already were declared a monument before the war started and had a letter M on them in white. And for a long time these bells weren't touched by the Germans, but then it was the end of 1944 and they stole all of them. And they wanted to ship them to Germany, to melt them. To transport these bells, the historic clipper ship called Hoop op Zege from J. van Dijk from the city of Dordrecht was claimed by the Germans, but he refused and left his ship. He is then replaced by an unexperienced skipper, which came in handy. It's January 1945 and the ship with 226 monumental stolen church bells from all over the Netherlands is sailing in a convoy with 10 other ships across the IJsselmeer Lake to get to the Frisian town of Lemmer, and from there it was supposed to be making its way to Germany. But the entire convoy of ships runs aground near the town of Urk on a sandbank, and 8 of the ships are recovered the next day, but 3 of them, including the Hoop op Zege with the 226 monumental church bells, are stuck. So how did they get stuck? Well, the lighthouse keeper at the time, Jacob Schruil, he extinguished all the light of the lighthouse in that specific night. Then the Germans asked the company Hoekman and Zonen from Urk as well to recover the ships. Apparently the Germans had no idea who they were, but one of the brothers, Hoekman, actually died during an act of resistance against the Germans, so obviously these men didn't really feel like helping the Germans. So together with other recovery operators, they sabotaged the entire operation. So very soon the ship Hoop op Zege was completely underwater with the 226 church bells in there. So how did that exactly happen? Well, a man named Fokke Hoekman removed the locking pins from the cargo doors and threw them overboard. Easy peasy. The bells were later recovered and taken to Urk in the summer of 1945, and in total they saved the 226 monumental church bells as well as 145 clappers. From there on they were shipped to Amsterdam and then returned to the church towers where they belong.